Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am back, and this is the final segment of the day. Well, of my show, anyway, of course. And it is a preview of WrestleMania 32. Now, WrestleMania 32 will be taking place on April 3rd, which is one day after the birthday of moi, of course. I shouldn't say, of course, I don't think that was common knowledge. It isn't. But day after my birthday, so it's a big deal to me. WrestleMania 32 now. The whole card of WrestleMania isn't completed yet. We still don't know whether Bray Wyatt's going to be in it. We still don't know what who's going to fight for the IC title, Intercontinental title. We still don't know who's going to face Kalisto for the United States Championship. But this is based off of, I forgot the site, Wrestle 411, or something like 411. That's the name of the site. And this is their rumored card prediction for WrestleMania 32. Some of these are we pretty much already know that they're going to be at WrestleMania 32. So the first one will be, well, not the first match, but the matches that I'm going to discuss happening at WrestleMania 32. One of the ones you already know are going to be Triple H and Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. Then you have Undertaker against Shane McMahon in Hell in a Cell. If Shane McMahon wins, then he's going to have control of Monday Night Raw. That's a huge deal. And you have the Divas Championship, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, triple threat match. Then you have Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar in a street fight. And more than likely, AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. Now, these are more of the predicted matches on the card. You're going to have New Day against the League of Nations for the WWE Tag Team Championships. These aren't set in stone. Next three I'm about to say, including that one. Then you have Kalisto and Ryback for the United States Championship, and then you have Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is gonna defend his Intercontinental Championship, of course. We just don't know against who. I honestly hope it's not gonna be against Dolph Ziggler. I'm tired of Dolph Ziggler already. It'll be refreshing to see someone like Neville or Sami Zayn, or even Tyler Breeze. Even though Tyler Breeze hasn't really won enough to deserve it, in all fairness. But so you have that, and yeah, that looks like that is probably going to be the card for WrestleMania 32 now. Discuss each one. Styles and Jericho, they need to make that a special type of stipulation quick because they've had three basic. When I say basic, I mean no special stipulation added, just a regular, one-on-one match. They've had 3 matches already. They were all good, but they still had only 3 matches already. And fourth really is stretching it. Usually when the WWE wants to book a major feud, they usually have like a trio of matches. Very rarely do you have in a feud 4 matches. Like Jericho said that he didn't respect Styles when he came in. He lost to him twice already. I don't know what's left to prove. But there it is. Okay, then you have the Divas title match. This is the match that we've all, ever since these 3 debuted, we wanted to see this. Charlotte versus Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. This is the match that the Divas Revolution was supposed to be all about. A little late, but at the perfect time, WrestleMania 32. And go back on the Styles Jericho match, I feel like Styles has to win it to solidify that he came out on top in the feud. You can't have Jericho win this one and have it be 2-2 because then that's just a tie, and then the feud's still not gonna be unsettled. Then you have to have a 5th match, not just 5 matches, but 5 matches in a row. That's a little 5 consecutive matches is a little insane. So in terms of Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, Charlotte's reign has lasted long enough. I feel like, I'm a huge Sasha Banks fan. I like Becky Lynch. I kind of like Charlotte, but I'm a huge Sasha Banks fan. And the crowd would go absolutely insane if Sasha Banks wins. She's like the crowd favorite. They like Becky Lynch, but Sasha Banks they're the ones, the fans, you'll hear it all the time on Monday Night Raw. They'll always start chanting, "We want Sasha." And if she wins at WrestleMania, it will be a huge moment. So Becky Lynch, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to probably get the short end of the stick yet again. Your time's going to come, don't worry about it, but just not now. This is Sasha Banks' time, I feel. She's been held back too long by being in, Team Bad. I just hate saying it. And now that she's a singles competitor, she really gets to show people what she can do, and I feel like this is her time to win the Divas Championship, excuse me. Okay, then you have the street fight between Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. I mentioned earlier when it came to WWE Roadblock that Lesnar should win that match just because he's Brock Lesnar. And it's a regular match with Bray Wyatt. I know Bray Wyatt has to win eventually, but just not against Lesnar, at least, and not on an event like this. The only time when Lesnar is allowed to lose, in my opinion, should be SummerSlam or WrestleMania, or if it's against like a huge opponent. like an Undertaker opponent, like an Undertaker or a John Cena even. And or if it's not a regular one-on-one match, Dean Ambrose should win this match. Now, if you're listening, I know you're thinking, you can't have Brock Lesnar lose too much. I said he's probably going to win at Roadblock. He should. But because it's a street fight, people are expecting Lesnar to absolutely decimate Dean Ambrose just because he's, the beast. But it's a street fight. This is Dean Ambrose's game. When he was in CZW, he did some spots that Lesnar would never do. Things that a lot of people wouldn't even consider wrestling. I wouldn't. Things like taking a power tool to the forehead and going through like glass. That was typical CZW stuff. It's another wrestling promotion if you don't know. That's typical. It's basically like ECW, but without the regulations, almost. And Dean Ambrose was a part of that promotion. He was part of all that. So street fight, that's his thing. All right? He might not, out-wrestle Dean Ambrose. He might not out-wrestle Brock Lesnar, but he will out-crazy him. He will take as much punishment as he possibly can and still come out on top. That's Dean's thing. And if Dean Ambrose wins this match, then this will really, this will be a step up for him. He'll really cement himself as a top guy. It was a great idea to have him in a street fight because rarely do you see Brock Lesnar in like you'll see him in like hardcore matches like a Hell in a Cell match or whatever, but you never really see him in like a street fight. So we'll see what Dean can do there. I think he might not win. He probably won't, but if he does, it would be a really big rub for him. Okay, then you have Undertaker and Shane McMahon in the Hell in a Cell. I feel like this should have been, like, if all things went well, if the stars lined up in the universe, this would have been Undertaker against John Cena. And then Undertaker might retire. But I feel like Undertaker and Cena have to wrestle at some point. Cena's not going to be at the WrestleMania, just to let you all know. He had shoulder surgery, I believe, and he's not going to be at WrestleMania. He's still, on the shelf for a while. He'll probably be back around SummerSlam. I feel like that's when he should, fight The Undertaker. SummerSlam is the next biggest thing behind WrestleMania. But so far I have Undertaker and Shane McMahon. Now, I was originally, like I mentioned when he came back the first time, I was originally iffy about it because I don't know how I felt about having Shane McMahon, Undertaker is old too, don't get me wrong, but Undertaker actually wrestles for a living, and he's been wrestling for a living for the last, maybe not every pay-per-view, but, for a while. That's his profession. Shane McMahon, since he left, he hasn't even been in the wrestling business. He's been doing other business type ventures, and he just all of a sudden comes back. Now if he was a little younger and he came back from not wrestling, that would have made a little more sense. But the fact that he's, in his mid 40s, around the same age as the Undertaker, and he wasn't even involved in wrestling is a little worrisome. But then they made it a Hell in a Cell, which sweetened the pot. And it also sweetened the pot with the fact that if Shane McMahon wins, he'll take control of Monday Night Raw, which, if he does win, that might usher in a new era of WWE professional wrestling. Maybe for the better, probably not for the worse, but who knows? I'm not a psychic. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it'll be really interesting to see what exactly goes on. In terms of who I think should win this match, that is a tough one. I'm not a booker. Okay, I don't do this. And this is why, well, first of all, I'm way too young, and I don't have enough experience in that type of field, but this is a tough call, because you could have the Undertaker lose, and if Shane McMahon wins, then it would kind of be a rejuvenation for Monday Night Raw. People will respect Shane. People are going to look forward to how Monday Night Raw is going to be, how the WWE is going to be under, or how Raw is going to be under Shane's leadership, and how that might change whether... Now, if there's a brand split like they had from 2002, I believe, to 2008, or it was 2010, whereas Raw and SmackDown were two completely different promotions in which you'd have different superstars, different pay-per-views, different championships, then I feel like I would root for Shane. But you can't have Undertaker lose, because then that would tarnish the former streak, or his whole thing about being almost impossible at WrestleMania. Almost impossible to beat at WrestleMania, kind of obsolete, So it's a tough one. But ultimately, I think you'd have to give Shane this one, because the Undertaker streak is already ruined. Brock Lesnar beat him at WrestleMania 30. So him at WrestleMania doesn't mean nearly as much as it did before the streak was broken. So I feel like Shane would have to get the win here. But you have to make it look like he actually tried. This has to be the best match of the night, because if it's not the best match of the night, then that will really put a dent in Undertaker's WrestleMania career. I'm fully expecting Undertaker Shane McMahon to be the best match of the night, and it's Hell in a Cell. That's Undertaker's forte. That's his thing. He was in the first Hell in a Cell match, I believe, with Shawn Michaels. I believe it was Shawn Michaels. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And so that's the type of match that Undertaker thrives in. One of the best matches of the year last year was at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view against Brock Lesnar. So it has to be the match of the night. It just has to be. And so that way, if Shane McMahon wins, it won't look like a fluke or anything like that. It will and also it won't make Undertaker look weak if it is like an excellent or really good match. Another idea would be to have someone interfere. It's Hell in a Cell, so that means there's no disqualifications. You could have someone interfere, maybe the Bullet Club. Bullet Club is they're a faction from NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, probably the second most well-known promotion in the world behind the WWE, which featured AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Prince Devitt, now known as Finn Balor, the Young Bucks, as well as Gallows and Anderson. And so I believe the WWE signed all of those guys. And so if they interfered in a match somehow, that would actually make a lot more sense than just Shane beating him outright. But something would have to happen. So I'm looking really forward to that one. And then, of course, you have the WWE Championship match, which will be the main event. Triple H and Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns is probably going to win this title. And he's probably going to get booed out the building. He's going to get booed out of Dallas or Arlington, whatever you want to call it. It's Dallas area. He's going to get booed out of there if he wins the title. So, tough spot here. But, Roman Reigns is probably going to win the title. There's a good chance he's going to win the title. It's probably going to be an okay match. Roman Reigns isn't as bad as people say he is. I mean, he's not great. Don't get me wrong, he's not great, but, he's not horrible. I've seen worse, So, he's probably going to win the title there. And that's pretty much it for what I think is going to happen at WrestleMania, which also means that's pretty much it for this episode of Countout. Thank you all for listening. Just a quick reminder, for all the people that want to, view all the shows and everything, you can follow WICR on Twitter at WICR1, on Instagram, WICR_Iona College Radio, Facebook, WICR, and the website would be ionacollegeradio.wix.com/WICR. So if you want to listen to this show or any of the other shows, just go to those places or get updates about Iona College Radio, then just go there. And so I want to thank you all for listening to me talk about a scripted sport for an hour. Sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, really. Just quick reminders here. I'm actually going to be going to a wrestling event on March 25th. It's going to be the WWE live event at Madison Square Garden. Like I said, on March 25th. It's going to be Daniel Bryan night, so it's going to be a tribute to him, of course. Intercontinental Championship match, Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. I'm looking the most forward to that one right there. Then, there's going to be, Triple H is going to be defending his title. It's so many great matches. It's like a lot. I'm looking really, really forward to it. And I'm going with 4 other friends of mine. It's going to be really good. So I know that's going to be like spring break, but the following week, I believe, we're going to be back in classes. So I'm going to talk all about it. I bought the tickets way in advance. I got the first 4 tickets in February on the 29th, which is the leap day, of course. So I'm looking really forward to going to that event. I'm telling you all about it the following week. If I'm correct, spring break starts on Friday, I believe. Whatever date the 21st is. Don't really remember. That's a month. Oh, no. I believe the show. I believe I have a show next Friday. Still not 100% sure. I'd have to check, but that's it for this week. I'm Rob Bobby Baez, Iona College's voice of professional wrestling, and I will all see you soon.